The second part of chapter 5, liberty. In liberty, we are discussing the rights and obligations of a citizen in a state, and the rights and the obligation of a state. Civil society has surrenders their right to fend for themselves to the government for the common good of every individual. The government in turn owes certain duties and responsibilities to the civil society. These responsibilities and duties of the government is something most people are not aware of. Let's see what are different views about rights and obligations. The balanced view of liberty reflects a healthy interconnection between rights and obligation. When you are enjoying your rights, so definitely there are certain obligations, certain duties you are supposed to do as well. Rights and obligations are interdependent, as the rights of person make it an obligation on the government as well as on other individuals to respect them. So when someone enjoys the right, so he or she must take care of the rights of other. So the government should respect the rights of others as well as other individuals. Government is under obligation to ensure their enforcement through legal machinery. So when someone's right is infringed or violated, so it is the government machinery who comes into action to protect that. The right of the state, on the other hand, are duties of individuals. Citizens have to perform two types of duties, one moral and the other legal. Here we are concerned with legal duties of citizens, which are based on laws and whose violation is dealt with punishment. Moral obligations, or you can say moral rights, they are not sanctioned by law. They are not backed by law, so that's why it is not a discussion here. So we will discuss only the legal duties which are legally sanctioned and laws are made to protect them. And if someone does not do that, so definitely it will be dealt with punishment. Important duties of a citizen in a state. Number one is loyalty to the state. Patriotism is the cardinal virtue in the modern nation state. Every citizen is expected to subordinate his personal interest to the national interest. All citizens within a state are expected, are supposed to be loyal to the state. So this responsibility is very significant, particularly for those who are government officials. They are actually the machinery of the state, and they are supposed to take care of everything, and they are supposed to do their job according to their job description. And whenever there are some personal interest, so it is expected that they will surrender their personal interest to the national interest. So it means that national interest is a higher thing, or you can say that it is more valuable than the one's personal interest. And national interest, because it represents the whole nation, so that's why one should surrender or withdraw his personal interest for the sake of whole nation. And the second duty, there is loyalty to law. Laws in democratic polity reflect the collective interest and aspiration of its citizens. It is an obligation on the citizens to cooperate with the law enforcing agencies. Loyalty to state is loyalty to law as well. And when someone is obeying the law and exercising his duties according to law, so actually he is reflecting the collective intention of the citizens. And in a democratic state, it reflects the collective interest and aspiration of its citizens. So whenever a law is made, it is an aspiration of all the people, because whenever it is made, it is obligatory on every individual in a state, and it is the duty of the state to cooperate with law enforcing agencies for the enforcement of law. So obedience of law is an important duty of a citizen. Then the payment of taxes. This is the important duty that state actually meet its expenses through the money collected through taxes. So in order to meet up host of demands for the performance of social services, every government needs huge funds, and a good citizen is expected to pay the taxes honestly. So whatever is obligatory on you, whatever is your income, whatever your business, so whatever the taxes are applicable, every citizen is supposed to pay those taxes. And this is the important duty of a state. Although the state has made certain laws which forces a citizen to comply with tax laws, and if someone fails to comply with, so definitely he will be dealt according to law. So tax evasion is a crime. Sanctity of vote. In developing states, third world states, you can say that this is considered a right, and the most sacred right, and everyone is supposed to vote, and a voter is deemed responsible for the conduct of representative, good or bad, he has elected at the polls. So whoever you think that it's good, you should vote, and you must take care of the interest of the nation. Like whenever you vote, you must check each and everything, that who is good for you, for this society, and for the state. It's not about your personal interest, and the sanctity of vote must be acknowledged and must be considered at the time of polls. What are the safeguards available to the liberty of the people? Number one, Rule of law. Rule of law is probably the most effective guarantee for the safeguarding public liberty. So public liberty is safeguarded through law. If there is no law, so definitely the public liberties are not safeguarded. So the protection that is available to public liberties is law. So whenever there will be rule of law, so definitely the people will enjoy their liberties, and law will protect their liberties, and law protect their rights. I told you earlier that laws and even the state, the basic objective of law and the state is the welfare and the well-being of the people. So all laws are made for the welfare of the people. So here the law is the most effective guarantee which protects and safeguard public liberties. Then the constitutional protection. Fundamental rights are more sacred when these are made the part of supreme law, the constitution. Constitution is the supreme law. It sets some principles on which a state is governed. And when these fundamental rights, like in the Constitution of Pakistan, we can see that from Article 8 to Article 28, the fundamental rights are clearly described there. So these fundamental rights, they get more sanctity, or they are more sacred when these are mentioned in the Constitution. Democratic system. Number third, safeguards of liberty. Rights of the people are better secured when people are given political participation through democratic system. So people, they can protect and safeguard their rights when in a democratic system where they got an opportunity to elect their people, to elect their representative, to elect their government. So through participation, they got a better chance to secure their rights. So democracy, in democracy where everyone, the individuals particularly, they take care of each and everyone in a state, and they respect the laws, and they live in an harmonized environment. So democracy is not all about election. It is actually the behavior of the people which they perform in a society. Then the separation of power. This is the basically a term that is used as Montesquieu regarded separation of powers between three branches of government as the most effective safeguard for the protection of public liberties. So there are three branches of the government. Number one is the executive, which is known as the government, and the particularly who take cares of everything. The head of the government is the chief executive, and number one is the executive, the people who actually take care of daily affairs of the state, and number two is the judiciary, and number third is the legislature. So there is a clear separation of power. The legislative body, it will make laws, the executive body that execute laws, and the judiciary that They protect the rights of the people through laws. Then local self-government. Local governments or local authorities. There is another kind of governance like decentralization of governmental authority at local level promotes people's interest in public life, which is important safeguard for the protection of liberty. So people at the very lower level, they can make some decisions for themselves. They don't leave each and everything for the central government. So decentralization is very much important. So wherever there will be a concentration of power in the center or in the federation, it makes more problematic for the people. This is going to be the most turbulent system, which is not beneficial for the people. So people, they can make decisions on their own at lower level or on the uh, local level, like a local level government. And the Constitution of Pakistan, it clearly says that the local government, the, the decentralization of power must be made mandatory. But unfortunately, the problem is that the provinces and the center, they are not willing to decentralize their power. And law and liberty. Outwardly speaking, sovereignty of state and its laws are symbols of coercion. As such, these stand antithesis to individual liberty. So laws are considered basically कि वो they are against or they are a hurdle to the liberty of the individual, because law imposes some restrictions, some restraints, and that's why it is an antithesis to individual liberty. There are different views, and the divergent views are there. So two different views are found on this issue. According to one view, every law is the nature of a guarantee to promote liberty, and in the words of Locke, law intends to protect liberty in an effective way, not to curb it. Law's basic purpose or basic objective is to protect liberty with the sanction of law. It doesn't mean to curb it, to marginalize it. Another school of thought regarded laws and liberty opposed to each other. According to Dicey, the more the one is, the less there is of the other. When the law is effectively exercising its power, so the liberties of the people will be marginalized, will be limited. And when the liberties are at high level, so definitely the law will be imposed or law will be practiced in a lower grade. There is a balanced view that law and liberty are not primarily antitheses, as the presence of legal machinery is indispensable for the protection of fundamental freedoms, and both are important. And liberty, if someone needs protection of liberty, so it requires laws, and it is indispensable. And the arguments on this hypothesis run as follow. Number one is an individual can truly enjoy his rights when he is given protection from undue interference. So when there is no restriction, no restraints, and wherever there is no undue interference, so one can enjoy his rights in a true sense. And state provides social and welfare services, which signifies positive aspect of law in respect of protecting liberty. So it is the responsibility of state to provide social and welfare services, and whatever the services state provides, they are necessary for the exercise of liberty. People can enjoy their life, enjoy their rights with liberty. It is a general practice in most of the democratic states to incorporate a list of fundamental rights in their constitutions. So states, they do mention, they do describe these fundamental rights in the constitution. Then exception, it may however be pointed out that all laws do not necessarily protect the rights of the people. Some laws enacted by autocratic governments may aim at encroaching upon the rights of the people. Like whenever there is a dictator, so definitely the laws that will be made by that dictator, it will encroach upon the rights of the people. The Hence the issues depends on the intention for the lawgiver the nature of laws, and the way legal machinery execute the laws. So हमने पहले भी ये डिस्कस किया था कि हर लॉ जो भी है वो लॉ गिवर की इंटेंशन को जाहिर कर रहा होता है. Like every law is made by a lawgiver consciously. तो it depends कि the intention of the lawgiver कि वो कैसे उसको बना रहा है, what's the intention behind that, and what is the nature of the law, and what is the way legal machinery execute those laws. And rights in democracy, in a purely democratic system, laws reflect popular will, since the people's representative have to honor the wishes of the people. So in democracy, the people enjoy more rights than any other form of the government. And the laws actually, they reflect the popular will. Like people, the majority, they accept these laws. Recently, you have seen in a protest, a strike in India, where new law has been made, and the farmers are on the roads, and even they reached in the capital of India. More than what I heard, that there are more than 1,500 million people in the in the capital of 150 million in the capital of India. And whatever the law was made, उसकी वजह से the people, they particularly the farmers, they felt कि जी गवर्नमेंट जो भी उसको प्राइवेटाइज करना चाहती है एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर को, ये हमारे ऊपर दूसरे लोगों को मुसल्लत करना चाहती है, और इसकी वजह से फिर क्या होगा कि किसानों का नुकसान होगा, और वो उसके खिलाफ तो वो जो पॉपुलर विल थी, अब लॉ जो पहले एग्रीकल्चर लॉ लॉ था वो तो पॉपुलर विल के मुताबिक था, एंड लोग जो है वो दे वर वेरी कंफर्टेबल विद इट, पर्टिकुलरली द फार्मर्स। लेकिन अब चूंकि वो लॉ उसके जो जनरल विल ऑफ द पीपल है उसको रिप्रेजेंट नहीं कर रहा, उसको रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं कर रहा, तो लोग जो है वो उसके खिलाफ मैदान में आ गए हैं। एंड द government, it is the responsibility, the government must make laws according to the wishes of the people. Liberty and equality. Equality, what it means? It's a relative term as and an attractive concept as it inspires the people. According to Aristotle, yearning for equality among people paves the way for revolutions. Widespread popularity of the liberal ideas after the French Revolution was in the nature of reaction to the contemporary gross inequalities. In political discussions, following kinds of equality are considered important. Civil equality, it means equality of all citizens in the eyes of law. And the political equality, modern democratic states recognize equal rights of political participation, whereas in Greek city-states only a limited population was given this right. Economic equality, and that is the concept of equality, it is the most controversial one. From modern point of view or moderate point of view, economic equality has been regarded synonymous with economic justice and fair play. तो इक्वलिटी ये बहुत ज़रूरी होती है हर माशरे में। हर शख्स कोशिश करता है कि वो माशरे में जो सबसे अच्छी जगह पे या अच्छे स्टैंडर्ड के साथ जो लोग रह रहे हैं, हर एक की ख्वाहिश होती है कि वो उसी की तरफ बढ़े। और जब भी कहीं पे इनइक्वलिटी होती है तो फिर रेवोल्यूशन की तरफ लोग बढ़ते हैं, और ये एक रास्ता है जिससे लोग ये चीज़ें हासिल करना चाहते हैं, इक्वलिटी हासिल करना चाहते हैं। तो इक्वलिटी में इक्वलिटी बिफोर द लॉ is the civil equality, and very much important that everyone must be treated equally in a state. और उसके बाद political equality and economic equality. The relationship between liberty and equality is that equality is indispensable to liberty. Liberty and equality are interdependent. Modern democratic states give rights to their citizens and ensure them equality of legal protection. Civil rights and civil equality is thus interconnected. When there are equal rights, there are equal protection of law. Then importance of economic equality, that where there is absence of economic equality, so one cannot enjoy truly his political and civil rights. And Lasky observes that even fundamental rights such as right to life are not secured in the absence of economic justice. So whenever there is economic injustice or economic inequality, so definitely the fundamental rights, they are not even protected. और जब आपके पास खाने पीने को कुछ नहीं है तो इक्वली आप इतने डिप्राइव्ड हैं तो आप जिंदगी भी बेमाना हो जाती है in that case. And liberty promotes equality. Equality is a vague notion in isolation from liberty. In fact, different political concepts projecting liberty indirectly strengthen the cause of equality. The liberty that promotes equality. और अगर हम इसको अलहदा से देखें, लिबर्टी से अलहदा करके अगर हम देखें तो इक्वलिटी को, तो इट्स अ वेग नोशन, एक बहुत मुबहम सी बात है, मुबहम सी चीज़ है। तो इसी तरह से बहुत सारी चीज़ें, बहुत सारे आइडियाज़ और बहुत सारे कंसेप्ट जो लिबर्टी को प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं वो आप कह सकते हैं कि इनडायरेक्टली वो इक्वलिटी के जो काज है, इक्वलिटी के जो सबब है, ये इक्वलिटी के जो वजूहात हैं उनको मजबूत बना रहा होता है। सो दैट्स ऑल टुडे। अगर आपके पास कोई क्वेश्चन है तो प्लीज़